Hey guys, welcome to the channel. In this video we're going to be talking about getting home in an SHTF situation. So what if an event happens where you're not able to get in your vehicle and drive back home? For example, an EMP attack, a man-made or natural disaster, civil unrest, or something along those lines. Do you have a plan? What is going to be required in order for you to get home safely to your family, your animals, or just get home, period? Well, one thing you may want to consider is having what is commonly referred to as a get home bag. This is not a bug out bag or a I'm never coming home bag. This is simply a bag that you leave in your vehicle and it just stays there until you need it. And hopefully you never will. Now there's going to be a few things in your bag that you're going to want to rotate out, such as food, snacks, water, and things like that. But it's not like you're going to waste it. Once the item gets close to expiring, you just want to swap it out with a fresh one and eat the one that's fixing to expire. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you guys. With everything going on right now, I would rather have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. So each bag is going to be slightly different depending on your specific situation. But for the most part, there's some essential items that are going to be the same across the board. So today we're going to take a look at what I think are some of the critical items you would need to get from point A to point B. And hopefully it will give you an idea of what you need in your bag should you decide to build one. Or if you already have one, might give you some ideas to add to it. So a quick note, the average commuting distance in the United States is around 41 miles round trip. Obviously this isn't going to apply to all, and we can run scenarios all day. I have 3 different routes getting home, but I know my area pretty good, so if any of those routes fail, I can easily find an alternative route. Anyway, let's jump in and see what we got, starting with the bag itself. So this is not your super cool guy tactical bag. This is the Thule crossover 32-liter travel backpack. It's roughly 11 by 15 inches and it's really nothing fancy. Looking at this pack, it doesn't stand out and there's nothing really tactical or significant about it, which is great for an urban environment. It's just an average everyday pack. It's well built, water resistant, lightweight, and there's plenty of room for what I have. The shoulder straps and the back has pretty good padding on it, so it should get the job done. Now, if your route home is through the woods, then by all means, you may want to go with a camo pack or something with earthy tones. But the goal is to look like a normal, average, everyday person. The very last thing you want to do is draw unnecessary attention to yourself. Your mission is to get home as soon as possible. Your bag should be lightweight, comfortable, and easy to carry with 2 shoulder straps, leaving both hands free. This bag, as you see it right here, weighs 26 pounds, and that's with the water. The last thing you want is some big heavy bag that weighs 50, 60 pounds to try to lug home on your back, especially if you've not been training with that kind of weight. Plus, you don't need all that. Remember, you're not bugging out, you're just trying to get home. 1, maybe 2 days, with 3 days being the worst case scenario, although this bag could last you a lot longer if needed. So what are some of the items that you'll need to get back home? Let's start with the famous 5 C's of survival. If you're not familiar with this concept, the 5 C's consist of a cutting tool, combustion device, cover, container, and cordage. So cutting tool. I highly recommend a good quality fixed blade knife, one that's you can do some batoning with. I also recommend a pocket knife and a good quality multi-tool. So combustion, I highly recommend at least 3 different sources to get a fire started. So I have a lighter with some duct tape, 550 cord, some chapstick, so easier to keep track of. I also have some stormproof matches. These things burn underwater. They're windproof, they're waterproof. I also have a ferro rod as a backup. I also keep these Bigfoot bushcraft fire starter plugs. Anything that's going to make my life easier to get a fire started if I do have to start a fire. I want to get it started with the least amount of effort as possible. These are waterproof, they're windproof, and they have about a 5-minute burn time. I also keep an extra emergency blanket in here just in case. Now personally, I'm not going to start a fire unless it's absolutely necessary. Maybe to boil some water, and then I'm going to put it out. Keep in mind, even a small fire can be seen for miles at night. And once again, you don't want to draw any unnecessary attention to yourself. And I know you're going to say, well, you can see a light from a far way away. Yeah, but I can turn the light off and move out quickly. Nevertheless, do what you feel comfortable doing. So I keep a windscreen in here as well. Lightweight aluminum. Keep the footprint, keep the signature down on my fire if I do start one. And it's good at blocking the wind, mainly to reduce visibility. So cover. I recommend a good tarp, keeping you out of the elements. This is a 10 by 10, very good size. And if you need to pitch a shelter, I would get off the beaten path to do so. I would also recommend a green, tan, or camo tarp. Not all tarps are created equal either. I would avoid getting one that sounds like you're eating a bag of potato chips every time you touch it. I would also recommend knowing how to pitch it in a configuration that will sustain high winds, rain, snow, whatever your climate is. Okay. So I also keep a bag of aluminum tent pegs. There's like 12 of them in here, and they're aluminum, so they're just, it's not worth having to whittle my own tent pegs when these don't take up any space and they are super lightweight. So one less thing I have to do, right? Quite a bit of duct tape. Or Gorilla Tape, actually. It's not duct tape. Gorilla Tape's 10 times better than duct tape. You can do repairs. You can start a fire. I think there's about 30 feet on this roll. I 2-inch tape. I put it on the inside of a leftover bank line spool. So I keep that in there as well. Next is container. So nothing too fancy, just a Stanley container. A small cup for boiling water if I need to, and of course cordage. I have two 55-foot pieces of 550 cord, and once again guys, not all 550 cord is created equal. Make sure that you get the 7-strand mil-spec stuff. And I keep about 120-foot roll of number 36 bank line just in case. So water. Water's an absolute. Not only water, but water filtration as well. This is the mini Sawyer water filter with reusable squeeze pouch and a straw syringe, a straw and a syringe for back flushing. Dan Becker done a real awesome video. He interviewed the owner of Sawyer. If you guys want to go, I recommend going and checking that out. It's very informative. The things that Sawyer is and has been doing around the world, and why their filters are better than any other filters out there. I'll leave a link in the description. You can go check that out if you want to. So moving on, candling. I have several different light sources. I recommend that you get yourself a good waterproof flashlight and a good headlamp, preferably with red light capabilities. Not required, but good to have. Red light's not as bright as white, and it still allows you to see. If you have to walk around at night in densely populated woods, you can take out an eye, you could trip, you could fall in a hole. Insert catastrophe here. So you'll also want to have some extra batteries. I got some AA's, some AAA's, and some CR123s. So next, first aid, another absolute. If you can foresee injury, teach me how to do it. If not, I recommend a good first aid kit. I have a small quick kit here with some moleskin, alcohol pads, Neosporin, and some Band-Aids. In a waterproof container. I also keep a CAT tourniquet, combat application tourniquet, just in case for a major wound. Make sure you can get to it with both hands. I also have an advanced medical kit. It has ace bandage, it has gauze, compressed gauze, it has an Israeli bandage, it also has, I call it a bandana, but it's a triangular bandage, and I keep, I think, a quick clot and a SAM splint for making a splint if need be. Nothing, once again, guys, nothing super fancy. Just extra meds, or just extra med kit, just in case. I also keep a roll of good 1-inch tape. The reason this is on here is so you can hang it on a branch if you're working on yourself or working on somebody. You can hang it, pull it off there as you need it. Trauma shears, good pair of trauma shears. These are cheap. Recommend a pair of those in there as well. Food. I have 2 MREs. They require no water, no heat, no prep. You just open and eat. However, they do come with a water activated heater that doesn't require fire. So everything you need in this bag. Also, cut the top off the bag. Don't throw the bag away. It can be used as a rain catch or water collection if needed. I also keep just a couple snacks that I can eat while I'm walking. Easily accessible, nothing too fancy, just some Cliff Bars. Once again, another one of those items that you're going to want to keep an eye on. Make sure they don't expire and just swap them out. So, a worst case scenario, I keep a squirrel trap. So just in case I find myself having to be out there longer than expected, I keep this trap in there. It's a big heavy duty trap to catch squirrels, small game, stuff like that. You can use the peanut butter or crackers or stuff out of the MRE as bait. I also keep a 2-foot piece of wire so that I can anchor it down just in case I get a larger animal. They can't chew through. I mean, I guess they can, but chances are pretty slim if they chew through this wire, so your food don't get away. Also, a fork and spoon. There is a spoon in the MRE, but it's plastic. I would get one out of the kitchen and throw it in my bag. Hygiene. Cannot stress this enough. It's a must, especially your feet. Clean your feet daily and put on a fresh pair of socks. Wash the other ones, dry them out, keep them, okay? Gloves. Good quality pair of leather gloves will come in handy. The last thing you need is unnecessary cuts, splinters, stuff like that. Keep a pair of gloves. So I also keep a sleeping pad. Nothing fancy. Small, compact, easily deployable, and it will get me up off the ground, okay? Another emergency blanket, just in case. That leaves me with 2. So these things are cheap, guys. And once again, they're not all created equally. These things can be pretty noisy. Make sure you get one that don't make a lot of noise. I have a solar-powered battery bank for charging my phone. If my phone still works, you'll need to recharge it, right? Solar panels do work. They don't work the best, but they do work. It's a pretty big bank, so I can get like 8 or 9 charges out of this power bank. Also, you're going to want to have the charging cable that charges your phone, because you can have all the power banks you want, but if you have no way to charge your phone, it's not going to be any good. So, next I recommend a compass. This is the MC2 Sunto. If you're not completely familiar with the area, you can inevitably get turned around, especially in the woods. A compass is good to have, but only if you know how to use it. This compass also has a mirror inside, which can be used for signaling, or it can get something out of your eye, something on your face that you can't see. It also has a magnifying glass, so you can use it to start a fire as worst case scenario. And of course, my phone. I'm probably going to have my phone on me, right? Well, not so much about my phone as it is what's on my phone. I use the offline maps from Onyx, and I've downloaded offline maps and I keep them on my phone. So if my phone does work, I'm going to have an offline map. So make sure that you got your charger, make sure it's up, because especially if you're using it for navigation, it's going to suck the battery out of it. Sunglasses. You're probably going to have a pair in your car or your truck anyway, so bug repellent. Last thing you want is to try to get through a night and get eaten by bugs and mosquitoes. So I keep a bottle of bug repellent and sunscreen. If you're not used to being out in the sun any significant amount of time, you're going to need some sunscreen. I also keep some binos in here to do some quick reconnaissance. Civil unrest, you're going to want to see them before they see you. So I keep the binoculars in there. And a saw. If you're going to have to build a fire, you're going to have to be able to cut wood. I recommend having a good saw. This is the Rex Betty. I think it's an 11-incher. Super sharp. Water key. If you're in the city, you're probably going to want this in your bag. Stores have a tendency to take the knob off their water spigot, so people can't access their water. This little tool, turn that spigot on and off, no problem. I keep one in here just in case. Toilet paper tabs. These things are worth their weight in gold. They're compressed towelettes. You just add water. Keep it in a little tube. They're lightweight, All you have to do is add water to these things and they poof right up. A must-have, in my opinion. For cleaning, you can use them to filter water, and of course, you can use them for toilet paper. And scanner. This is the Bearcat BC75 XLT. It's a non-digital scanner. It's around $100. You can get 300 channels, the NOAA weather stations. It has a scan function, a search capability. It's pretty easy to use, but there is a learning curve. It takes 2 AA batteries, both alkaline or rechargeables. I don't think it has a very good battery life. Some claiming up to 12 hours, where in reality it's probably closer to 6, but at least you can listen to what's going on. Great little scanner for monitoring. I'm sure there's better out there, but for the money, it's the one I chose. Shoes. If you wear dress shoes to work, which a lot of us do, you definitely want to consider keeping a comfortable, reliable pair of shoes in your vehicle. If you have to walk 20 miles in your dress shoes, it's going to make for a miserable walk. Also, I don't recommend going out and buying a new pair of shoes just to leave in your vehicle. The last thing you want to do is be breaking in a new pair of shoes for the first time on a 20+ mile trek. Now, some of these items you can skip on, however, I don't recommend it. Spend a little extra money for a quality product. You'll be glad you did. And the last thing you want to do is turn on your headlamp just to find out that it don't work. Also, I keep a raincoat, rain jacket. This is a treated Columbia raincoat. It stays in my truck all the time. And last and definitely not least, self-protection. I highly, highly recommend that unless you're a rainbow belt and Chuck Norris, that you have a way to defend yourself and what's yours. Making sure you follow all laws within your state in which you reside. But not having a way to defend yourself opens you up for the unwillingly surrender of what you have. And I will leave it at that. So guys, that's a way, not necessarily the way. That's what I keep in my pack. If you decide that you don't need some of this stuff, that's fine. You can add and take away as you see fit. For instance, you might need to pack some bear spray for where you live. Also, depending on your demographics and what time of the year it is, climate will dictate what you keep in your bag. So this is not a fire and forget scenario, and you should rotate items depending on your season, expiration dates, and things like that. Craft your bag to suit your needs. This bag stays in my truck 24/7, and I don't take things out of it except to rotate the items out. Drop a comment below. Let me know what you use for your get-home bag, or if you even have a get-home bag. Stay safe, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.